"Don't make us look bad, girl." The shout of a SEAL soldier echoes across the Fort Bragg firing range where the scorching sun blends with the smell of gunpowder. Sarah Harper, an unknown woman replacing paper targets, is mocked by a crowd of arrogant candidates. But she doesn't respond, only silently arranges the targets with uncanny precision. From the observation tower, an old colonel squints through his binoculars, seeing what the crowd misses. Harper's quiet competence. "A rifle will change everything. Are you ready for this legendary moment?" The sky above Fort Bragg, North Carolina, blazes like a furnace, the scorching sunlight searing the firing range where SEAL candidates gather, their bodies radiating the confidence of invincible warriors. Laughter, sharp as the clash of metal, erupts from the crowd. Corporal Lucas Kane, with a smug smile like an actor commanding the stage, stands among his comrades, his gaze fixed on a young woman quietly replacing paper targets at the far end of the range. With a condescending tone, he shouts, as if wanting the entire desert to hear, that she must have wandered in by mistake, that the gift shop is where she belongs. The soldiers around him, in dust-covered camouflage, burst into laughter, their high fives echoing like thunder in the air, thick with the smell of gunpowder. The woman, with a name tag that simply reads, "Harper," pays no mind to the mockery. She doesn't turn around, doesn't respond, only works in silence, her gloved hands moving with the precision of a watchmaker. Each old target is removed from its frame, stacked neatly as if she's arranging the pieces of an untold story. Her hair, tied tightly into a small bun, is without a single stray strand, and her face remains calm, like a still painting amidst the storm of the crowd's arrogance. Her silence is not weakness but a steel wall, separating her from the noise around her. She is an enigma, a cool breeze in the blistering desert of their self-assurance. On the observation tower, where the desert wind carries red dust, a grizzled colonel watches through binoculars. His face, etched with scars like the rugged roads of war, betrays no emotion. But his eyes, sharp as polished steel, see what the crowd misses, the discipline in every movement of Harper's, the way she handles the targets like a sacred ritual. He notices the contrast between Kane's arrogance and Harper's calm like light and shadow. He says nothing, only watches, like a storyteller awaiting the climax. Deep within, a premonition sparks. This girl is not just a maintenance worker, but a force waiting to erupt. The air at the firing range is heavy, as if the sun itself is pressing down on the soldier's shoulders. Kane, his smile still lingering, continues his performance, whispering something to his comrades that makes them laugh even louder. But Harper remains unshaken. She continues her work, her hands moving with the rhythm of a dance rehearsed 1,000 times. Each target is placed down like a silent declaration, proclaiming her worth without the need for words. The crowd, blinded by their overconfidence, fails to see that they stand before someone who will make them rethink everything. The colonel, his eyes never leaving Harper, lowers his binoculars, his lips pressed tight. He senses the latent energy within her, a fire hidden beneath her simple exterior, ready to ignite. Dust swirls in the air, glinting under the sunlight like tiny diamonds. The firing range, with its target standing tall in the distance, seems to await a moment that will change everything. Harper finishes the final stack of targets, placing it on the ground with the gentleness of a mother laying her child in a crib. She stands tall, her spine rigid, unshaken by the laughter still echoing around her. The crowd, blinded by their arrogance, doesn't realize they stand before a true warrior. The colonel, with his piercing gaze, knows this moment is only the beginning of a story that will echo forever. All right, before you settle in, take a sec to like the video and subscribe, but only if you're genuinely vibing with what I'm putting out here. And drop a comment below letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. It's always a thrill to see who's joining us from all corners of the globe.
Welcome to Veteran Silent Story, where forgotten battles come alive in powerful tales. Subscribe now and honor the silence that shaped our freedom.
Under the blazing sun of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the firing range trembles in the searing heat, the air thick with the smell of gunpowder and the pride of SEAL soldiers. Corporal Lucas Kane, the most promising candidate, steps up to the firing line with the confidence of a general before battle. In his hands is the M110 SAS, a masterpiece of sniper technology, gleaming like a symbol of victory. Kane's smile, sharp and smug, waves like a flag, proclaiming this as his stage. The crowd of comrades, burly soldiers in camouflage, watches him with eyes full of expectation. The test before him is a brutal challenge. 5 targets at 600 meters to be taken down in 90 seconds, a task demanding the precision of an artist and the calm of a Zen master. Kane rests the rifle on his shoulder, his fingers gliding over the scope with the confidence of someone accustomed to the spotlight. He takes a deep breath, his chest expanding, and his eyes lock onto the distant targets, where the paper silhouettes stand tall, like silent challenges. The gunshot rings out, sharp as a sword slash, but the digital screen nearby flashes a glaring red miss like a wound tearing through his pride. The crowd, moments ago buzzing with excitement, falls into silence, as if their hearts have stopped beating. Kane, his face hardening like stone, mutters something, his voice trembling slightly, trying to mask his confusion. He fires again, his finger pulling the trigger hastily, but the second shot, then the third. Both stray far from the target, the red dots on the screen like wordless taunts. Kane's confidence crumbles, his face flushes red like a sunset sky, no longer radiant with glory but colored with shame. He pushes the rifle away, his movement angry, as if it's the sole betrayer. He shouts, his voice breaking in the desert wind, claiming the rifle is faulty, that its zero has been sabotaged. But his excuses are merely a faint echo, too weak to hide his failure. The crowd, now standing as still as ghosts, no longer laughs or brims with arrogance. Every gaze, as if pulled by an invisible force, shifts to the far corner of the range where Harper continues her quiet work. She stands there, her gloved hands stacking old targets with the care of a craftsman. Her face is serene like a lake without ripples, untouched by Kane's failure or the earlier mockery. Harper doesn't look up, doesn't glance at the crowd, but every movement she makes exudes a calm authority like a mountain standing firm against a whirlwind. She stacks the final target, her hands moving with the rhythm of a dance honed over years. The air at the firing range grows heavy, tension settling like an iron curtain. Kane, standing there with slightly trembling hands, seems to realize that his spotlight has been dimmed by someone he once dismissed. From the observation tower, the grizzled colonel, his weathered face and eyes sharp as a blade, watches everything through his binoculars. He sees the contrast between Kane's shattered arrogance and Harper's silent strength, like light and shadow. He lowers his binoculars, his lips pressed tight, as if awaiting a moment that will change everything. Dust swirls in the air, glinting under the sunlight like tiny diamonds. The firing range, with its target standing tall in the distance, seems to await someone who will rewrite history. Harper, in her quiet corner, completes her task, placing the stack of targets on the ground with the gentleness of someone who understands the value of patience. She stands tall, her spine rigid, like a warrior ready to step into a battle no one expects. Under the blazing sky of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the firing range trembles in the scorching heat, the air heavy with the smell of gunpowder and the tension of eyes fixed on the firing line. From the observation tower, the colonel's voice, deep and sharp as a blade, cuts through the silence like a sword. Corporal Lucas Kane is ordered to step back, and Specialist Harper is called to the firing line. The crowd of SEAL candidates, muscular warriors with smug smiles still lingering on their lips, freezes in place. Whispers of confusion ripple through like wind sweeping across the desert. A soldier, his voice trembling, mutters that Harper is just a maintenance worker, a nameless figure in the corner of the range. Kane, his face still flushed from his earlier failure, opens his mouth to protest, but the colonel's icy gaze, like a silent storm, silences him. He steps back, his hands trembling slightly, as if trying to cling to the fading remnants of his pride. Harper steps forward, her boots crunching on the gravel, each step like a beat in the rhythm of destiny. She doesn't look at the crowd, doesn't heed the eyes that once mocked her. Her face is serene, a still painting amidst the whirlwind of arrogance, but every movement carries a latent power, like a flame hidden beneath a layer of ice. She takes the M110 SAS, the rifle Kane cursed, with the smoothness of a craftsman touching their masterpiece. Her hands, clad in worn work gloves, glide over the rifle's body as if it's an extension of her soul. Without a bipod, she kneels into a firing position, a difficult stance mastered only by seasoned snipers. The crowd, drawn into this moment, holds its breath, as if the entire world has stopped moving. Harper takes a slow breath, her chest rising and falling like a gentle wave. Her finger touches the trigger, light but resolute. The first shot rings out, sharp as thunder, and the digital screen flashes a perfect red dot in the center of a target 600 meters away. The crowd blinks, unable to believe their eyes. The second shot, then the third, the fourth, the fifth. Each shot is a stroke carved into a canvas of perfection, each red dot on the screen an undeniable proclamation. All of it unfolds in under 30 seconds, swift as a whirlwind. The final brass casing falls to the sand, glinting under the sunlight before lying still, leaving a deafening silence over the range. The crowd's arrogance, once burning like a wildfire, is now nothing but dissipating smoke. Harper stands, her spine straight, without a trace of boastfulness. She sets the rifle down, her movement as gentle as an artist finishing their painting. The crowd, now standing like ghosts, stares at the screen, where 5 perfect red dots gleam like jewels in the desert. Kane, his face pale as ash, steps back further, as if trying to escape the blinding light of truth. From the observation tower, the colonel lowers his binoculars, his tight-lipped mouth curling into a subtle smile. He had seen Harper's quiet competence from the start. In the meticulous way she stacked targets, she is not just a maintenance worker, but a warrior, a legend writing her own history. The air at the firing range feels frozen, with only the desert wind whistling through the targets. Harper, with the calm of someone seasoned by the pressure of battle, steps back, needing no validation from anyone. The crowd, once mocking her, is now gripped by a wordless awe. Kane's failure, public and humiliating, is now overshadowed by Harper's perfection. She has shattered every assumption, not with words, but with 5 shots, each one a hammer blow smashing arrogance to pieces. The colonel, with his piercing gaze, knows this moment will echo forever, like a story told across generations. Under the scorching sun of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the firing range sinks into a heavy silence, as if the entire desert is holding its breath after Harper's 5 perfect shots. The crunch of boots on gravel echoes, each step of the colonel like a fateful drumbeat, drawing every eye toward him. He descends from the observation tower, his weathered face, scarred like the rugged roads of war, telling the story of a soldier's life. His eyes, sharp as a blade, sweep over the crowd of SEAL candidates, who moments ago mocked and jeered, now standing frozen like statues forgotten by time. In his hand is a tablet, glowing under the sunlight, like a torch ready to illuminate the truth. His voice, deep and commanding, thunders across the range like a storm rolling through a clear sky, posing a question that makes every heart tremble. "Do you see this woman? And who do you think she is?" He taps the screen lightly, his movement deliberate and slow, like an artist preparing to unveil a masterpiece. The screen flashes, and the truth explodes like a bomb. Specialist Sarah Harper, former Delta Force operative, distinguished graduate of the Marine Corps Sniper School, and holder of the record for the longest confirmed sniper kill in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. She is not the lowly maintenance worker the crowd mocked, but a trainer invited to Fort Bragg to challenge the most elite warriors. The crowd falls deathly still, as if the air has been sucked from the range. Faces once radiant with smugness now turn pale, eyes flickering between the screen and Harper, who stands quietly in the far corner, her gloved hands still stacking targets with the calm of someone seasoned by battle. Corporal Lucas Kane, once swaggering with a smug smile, now stands petrified, his hands trembling slightly as he tries to cling to the last scraps of his shattered pride. His failure, public and humiliating, is now overshadowed by the truth about Harper. She is not just a nameless figure, but a legend, a warrior with feats this base could only dream of. Kane's arrogance, once blazing like a wildfire, is now reduced to ashes, swept away mercilessly by the desert wind. Every mocking word he uttered, every smirk he flashed, now returns like daggers, piercing his self-respect. The crowd, once roaring with laughter at Harper's presence, is now gripped by a silent reverence, as if they've just witnessed a miracle. Harper, in her distant corner, pays no mind to the crowd's gazes or Kane's stunned silence. She continues her work, her hands moving with steady rhythm, like a symphony of discipline. Her face remains serene, without a trace of triumph, as if those 5 perfect shots were just another day in her life. The colonel, with his piercing gaze, watches her from afar, his tight-lipped mouth curling into a subtle smile. He knew the truth from the start, saw Harper's quiet competence in the meticulous way she stacked targets. He knows this moment is not just a test, but a lesson that will be etched into the minds of everyone present. The air at the firing range feels frozen, with only the desert wind whistling through the targets. Harper, with the calm of a true warrior, completes the final stack of targets, placing it on the ground with the gentleness of a mother laying her child in a crib. She stands tall, her spine unyielding, like a mountain unshaken by any storm. The crowd, once mocking her, is now swept up in a wordless awe. The truth about Harper, like a blazing fire, has burned away every false assumption. Kane, his face pale, stares at the screen, as if struggling to digest the reality that he misjudged a legend. The colonel, his voice still echoing in everyone's minds, has turned this moment into a story that will be told for generations. Dear audience, grab a glass of water, take a moment to relax, and keep listening to the story. The twists are still to come. And please drop a comment below letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. It's always a joy to see who's joining us from around the world. Drop a 1 in the comments if you find this story gripping, so we can keep bringing you more captivating tales. The story of Harper's 5 perfect shots sweeps through Fort Bragg, North Carolina, like a desert whirlwind, racing through every barracks, every corner of the base, and etching itself into the minds of the soldiers. The firing range where she stood, once just a dusty patch of ground, is now christened Harper's Line, an immortal symbol of humility and unparalleled skill. The old targets, once mocked by the crowd, now stand as witnesses to a fateful moment when an unknown woman forced an entire base to confront its own reflection. Harper's name is not just a name, but a flame, igniting awe and inspiring those who hear her tale. Every whisper about those 5 shots is a blade, slicing through prejudices about appearances and bravado. Corporal Lucas Kane, who once stood atop a pinnacle of arrogance with a smug smile, is now quieter, like a warrior emerging from the shadows of his own ego. His failure before Harper, public and humiliating, has left a deep wound, not on his body but in his soul. He no longer struts, no longer boasts. Instead, he walks with humility, his eyes pensive, as if trying to decipher the lesson Harper carved into his heart. A week after that fateful event, under the dim glow of a small workshop at Fort Bragg, Kane seeks out Harper. She sits there, calibrating a rifle scope, her hands moving with the precision of a craftsman. The light from the desk lamp illuminates her face, serene yet sharp, like a mountain harboring an unseen strength. Kane stands before her, his shoulders slightly hunched, no trace left of the arrogance that once defined him. He takes a deep breath, his lips trembling slightly as he admits his mistake, thanking her for the unspoken but profound lesson. Harper looks up, her eyes meeting his, devoid of gloating or pride. She responds, her voice even and low, that everyone learns from mistakes, that a clear mind and steady breath will let skill speak for itself. Her advice, simple yet piercing, is not just about shooting but a philosophy of life, a torch, lighting the path Kane now treads. She needs no flowery words, no recognition. Her silence, like those 5 shots before, says everything. Harper's words sink deep into Kane like a river flowing through the parched land of his arrogance. He begins to change, not just in how he handles a rifle, but in how he sees those around him. The cooks in the mess hall, the quiet logistics workers, are now treated with newfound respect, as if each carries an untold legend within. Harper's line is not just a name on the base's map, but a reminder that true skill needs no fanfare, that humility can forge an enduring legacy. The story of Harper spreads, not only through Fort Bragg, but through the tales of warriors, becoming a flame that inspires anyone who ever underestimated another. The air at Fort Bragg seems different after that day. Soldiers, once accustomed to competition and bravado, now walk with a quiet contemplation, as if carrying Harper's lesson in their hearts. Kane, now a changed soldier, is often seen in the armory, not barking orders but quietly cleaning rifles, his movements slow and thoughtful. Harper, with the calm of a true warrior, continues her work, heedless of the spotlight. She is the embodiment of quiet competence, a breeze that swept through Fort Bragg, leaving a legacy that will echo forever. Years later, in a modest meeting room at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, sunlight streams through the windows, casting rays on a wall where a simple glass frame holds an old paper target. 5 tiny bullet holes, impossibly precise, silently recount a moment that transformed an entire base. Master Sergeant Lucas Kane, now a seasoned SEAL team leader, stands before a group of new candidates, their youthful faces burning with ambition but yet to be refined. His uniform, marked by the scars of brutal battlefields, tells the story of a soldier who learned a profound lesson from an unknown woman. His eyes, once gleaming with arrogance, are now deep as the ocean, reflecting reverence for Harper, the woman who forged a legend with 5 perfect shots. Kane points to the target, his voice low and commanding like waves crashing against rocky shores. He speaks of Harper's line, the firing range, where an underestimated woman brought an entire base to its knees. That target, with 5 bullet holes like stars in a desert sky, is not just a relic, but a reminder that the most dangerous person is not the loudest. Quiet competence, as Harper proved, triumphs over every boast, every false glimmer of glory. The candidates, seated silently in their chairs, are drawn into the story, their eyes flickering between the target and Kane, as if trying to envision that moment, the moment a woman turned mockery into reverence. Harper's story has become doctrine at Fort Bragg, a wind of inspiration sweeping through generations of warriors. New soldiers, dreaming of becoming SEALs, learn not only how to shoot, but how to value skill over showmanship, to look beyond appearances. Harper's name, though she is no longer present, echoes through every corner of the barracks, from the armory to the training grounds, a reminder that humility is true strength. Her legacy lies not in medals or titles, but in the intangible yet profound changes, in Kane's heart, in the minds of those who once mocked her, and in the reverence of new warriors. Kane, now a different soldier, pauses for a moment, his gaze lingering on the target. He recalls that day when his arrogance was incinerated by Harper's 5 shots, when he learned that silent, perfect action is the true measure of a warrior. The candidates, captivated by the story, feel the weight of that lesson. They see not just a target, but a philosophy of life, a call to be better, humbler. The air in the meeting room grows thick, filled only with the steady breathing of young soldiers, as if they are absorbing Harper's legacy into every heartbeat. Fort Bragg, with its dusty roads and grueling training days, has changed since that moment. Soldiers, once accustomed to competition and bravado, now walk with quiet contemplation, carrying Harper's lesson in their hearts. Kane, whose hands once trembled with shame, now holds a rifle with care, as if each shot is a reminder of humility. The target on the wall, though faded with time, still shines like a flame, lighting the path for those who dare to dream. Harper, though long gone, left an immortal legacy, a breeze that swept through Fort Bragg, transforming the hearts and minds of those who once underestimated her. Under the fiery red sunset at Fort Bragg, the story of Sarah Harper still echoes, like a gentle breeze soothing hearts once wounded by arrogance. Her 5 perfect shots were not just a triumph on the firing range, but a reminder that true strength lies in humility, that every person, no matter how unknown, can spark change. From Lucas Kane's failure, we learn that mistakes are not an end, but a beginning for growth, when we choose to listen and respect. Harper taught us that quiet competence can heal the wounds of pride, fostering unity and compassion within a community. Dear American audience, let this story inspire you. Share your thoughts in the comments. What lesson from Harper touches your heart? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to discover more stories of hidden strength. Let's spread the message of humility and respect together, making every day an opportunity to heal and grow.